The only place in the world that hasn't been explored is a vast pit cave called the Abyss. In its depths, strange and wonderful creatures live, full of valuable relics called artifacts. Humans are intrigued by the mysteries of the Abyss, so they go down there to find more and are dubbed Delvers. Want to find out more on what mysteries lay deep? Stay tuned! Welcome to Anime Recap Pro. In the town of Orth, on the edge of the Abyss, we meet our protagonist, little orphan girl named Rico. She wants to be a delver like her mother and figure out the cave system's mysteries. Rico discovers a robot that resembles a boy when she first begins exploring the tunnels one day. Rico and her new friend are drawn to the mysteries of the Abyss, so they go down into the unknown territory to find out what they are. But what is waiting for them in the darkness? Episode 1. The story begins as Rico and her partner Nat get split up when they go into the first layer of the Abyss to look for relics. Rico uses her red whistle to get the attention of a dangerous snake called a Crimson Splitjaw, so that Nat doesn't get eaten. Even though the Crimson Splitjaw had Rico cornered and was about to eat her, a powerful energy blast sent the Crimson Splitjaw running. Rico finds out that the energy blast came from a robot boy who had been knocked out. Rico and Nat take the robot boy back to the Belchero orphanage, where they live, and hide him in a shed. Later, the director tells the orphans that the orphanage makes money from the relics, and Rico's teacher, Jiro, tells her that she is not ready to be sent into the lower layers of the Abyss at her current level. Rico is able to wake the robot boy at night with the help of her friends. The robot boy seems to have lost his memory. Rico gives the robot boy the name Reg and runs away from Jiro. She takes Reg outside at sunrise to show him the big city of Orth, which sits atop the Abyss. Episode 2. Rico, Nat, Shiggy, and Kiyui look through the illustrated book of recovered relics, but they can't find a robot boy. They think that Reg came from the bottom of the Abyss. Reg's friends don't want him to be taken away and broken up if anyone finds out, so they make him look like a normal orphan and have Jiro enroll him in the orphanage, where he starts training as a bell. 2 months later, Hablog, a White Whistle cave raider, comes back from an expedition in the second layer of the Abyss with a white whistle and a sealed document that belongs to Rico's mother, Liza. As a festival is held to celebrate the return of Liza's white whistle, Jiro tells Rico that she was born in the Abyss and that Liza used a rare relic called the curse-repelling vessel to bring Rico safely to the surface before going in search of the legendary relic called the Unheard Bell. The sealed document, which includes a drawing of Reg and a note from Liza stating that she is waiting at the bottom of the Abyss, is subsequently given to Rico along with Liza's white whistle. Episode 3. Rico chooses to go down into the Abyss to find Liza. Reg says he will join to regain his memories by traveling into the Abyss. Episode 4 and 5. Rico and Reg make it deep into the first layer, the edge of the Abyss. Then they discover they must travel to the second layer so the guards don't take them back. They travel for days, facing adversities until they reach the deepest part of the second layer. Rico and Reg go into the inverted forest, which is in the lowest part of the Forest of Temptation. This is where they ate some of the corpse tasty Weeper's meat. They are soon chased away by a group of territorial red-eyed gibbons called Inbios. Then Rico and Reg walk toward the Seeker Camp, which was built as a place for cave raiders to stay. Ozen grabs Reg's extendable arms instead of letting him in when Reg tries to use them to open the door. Episodes 6 and 7. Ozen lets go of Reg's arms that can extend and lowers a gondola, which lets Rico and Reg into the Seeker Camp. When Rico finally meets Ozen and Marulk, she thanks Ozen for bringing her to the surface long ago. Ozen, however, points out in a funny way that she had often thought about leaving Rico behind. In exchange for Liza's white whistle, Ozen gives Rico and Reg a blue whistle each. Rico and Reg quickly become friends with Marulk, who was taught by Ozen and became a blue whistle at a young age. Marulk wants Rico and Reg to stay a little longer so they can dig together after Rico gets interested in some old relics. Rico doesn't want to say no, but she has to because her job is to find Liza at the bottom of the Abyss. That night, when Rico was looking for the bathroom, she ran into something strange and had to return to her room. On the next day's morning, Ozen takes Rico and Reg to her private room. Ozen says that Liza is dead because she found the letter in a grave in the 4th layer. She also says that Liza didn't write the letter herself. Rico sees the curse-repelling vessel when she gets into the room. Ozen says the curse-repelling vessel can temporarily bring the dead back to life. For example, Rico died at birth and was brought back to life by the relic. Ozen then trains Rico and Reg to handle the other floors by sending them to the outskirts of the forest. Episode 8. After 10 days on the outskirts of the inverted forest, Rico and Reg have learned everything they need to about survival and are ready to return to the secret camp. Ozen tells Rico and Reg to stay away from the other white whistles, who are also in the 5th layer exploring. Then Ozen discovers that Liza's note was handwritten on a sturdy cloth that neither he nor Liza can break apart. Another indication that Liza must still be alive in this. The Blaze Reap, Liza's abnormally huge pickaxe discovered in the 4th stratum, is a relic that Ozen offers to Rico. It can be used instead of the incinerator, but only a few times before it breaks. Later, Marlk and the other members of the Underground Bandits said goodbye to Rico and Reg. Ozen thinks back to a promise she made to Liza years ago. She said that she would help Rico find Liza. Rico and Reg go to the 3rd layer, the Great Fault. Episode 9. Rico and Reg use a network of interconnecting caverns to descend the Great Fault while avoiding the terrifying Madoka Jacks, which are enormous insect-like reptiles that hunt from the air. But they find a Madoka Jack's hideout, so Reg uses the incinerator to kill it. Unfortunately, this makes the Crimson Splitjaw, which was hurt by the incinerator, pay attention. After barely getting away, Reg passes out, leaving Rico to fend for herself. As hungry Rico drags Reg along, a round creature called a Makagame eats her. She must use a dagger to cut her way out of its stomach. Rico then runs away from a group of Naratuntans, which look like flat rodents, and ends up in a cave with a slope going up. As she climbs the slope, she starts to feel dizzy and hallucinate. This is the curse of the 3rd layer. When Rico gets to the top of the cave, she realizes Reg's importance to her as both a friend and a guardian. Reg awakens just before the red Splitjaw Reap appears. Then he scares it off with a Blaze Reap. After establishing camp inside the cave, Rico and Reg now see the 4th level, the Goblets of Giants. Episode 10. Rico and Reg travel through the Goblets of Giants, a humid jungle full of flat creepers weaving giant concave discs. Soon they run into an orb piercer, a big animal that looks like a porcupine. One of the quills hits Rico, injecting poison. Then Rico starts bleeding from every orifice, the curse of the 4th layer. Reg is hesitant, but he agrees to Rico's request to cut off her left arm, so the poison doesn't spread. Rico stops breathing in the middle of the process, which makes Reg feel hopeless. Reg is told to stay calm by a mysterious being that looks like a rabbit. The being shows Reg how to do cardiopulmonary resuscitation, which helps Rico breathe again. Rico and Reg run away to where the being, named Nanachi, is hiding. Episode 11. Nanachi starts to fix Rico's swollen left hand in the hideout. Since they both went into the Goblets of Giants, Nanachi watched and listened to Reg until Rico was severely hurt. Midi, a deformed feline-like creature who lives with Nanachi, is introduced to Reg. He tells Reg that both of them are hollows, young cave raiders who have lost their humanity because of the curse of the 6th layer and the stresses of ascension, though Nanachi shows proof of surviving and keeping a semblance of humanity. Nanachi sends Reg out to get the things he needs to heal Rico and make dinner for Nanachi. Nanachi appears to be aware that Rico carried Liza's white whistle. Reg receives a demon fish, enormous hammer-break eggs, a glowing yellow grass, and a shroom bear infested with parasitic water fungi. Nanachi then sends Reg to a riverbank behind Nanachi's hideout to clean Rico's clothes, which were stained with blood and urine. Reg passes past the quickly expanding perennials known as Everlasting Fortunes as he strolls. He recalls being near the headstone where the Blaze Reap was interred. While Rico is by herself, Midi starts to look at her. Episode 12. Midi seems to have developed feelings for Rico, but Nanachi tells Reg that Midi won't hurt Rico. After dinner, Nanachi shows what the Curse of the Abyss is like by using a thin cloth called a fog weave. Away from the vertical shaft, the force of the field is weaker, and creatures like the Orb Piercer can guess what their prey will do. Reg is training with Nanachi in the Goblets of Giants when he sees an Orb Piercer attacking a Black Whistle Cave Raider. Reg can use the incinerator to get rid of the Orb Piercer because Nanachi told him how to do it. Reg then requests of the Black Whistle that he informed Jiro that he and Rico are carrying on with their journey. When Reg comes back, Nanachi asks him to kill Midi, shocking him. Episode 13. Once Reg has recovered from using the incinerator, Nanachi tells him that they and Midi were orphans who were brought into the Abyss by the White Whistle Bondrude to be used in his cruel experiments in a place called Ido Front, which is at the bottom of the 5th layer. Nanachi and Midi don't know what Bondrude was up to when he sent them down to the capital of the Unreturned, a miniature garden of dawn on the 6th layer. When they came back up, they were hit by the curse, which made Midi immortal and Nanachi able to see the curse. After Bondru tries to kill Mitty more than once, Nanachi runs away with her, but they haven't been able to stop her pain since. After hearing Nanachi's story, Reg agrees to let Nanachi use his incinerator to kill Mitty. After Nanachi says goodbye to Mitty for the last time, Reg kills her completely, which makes Nanachi cry. The next day, Rico wakes up and has breakfast with Reg and Nanachi, which is pan-fried demon fish. Rico remembers that she was able to talk to Mitty while she was sleeping, and that she could feel her soul leaving her body when she died. Rico asks Nanachi to help her find Eliza after spending some time with Reg in a natural hot spring and having the parasite water shrooms severely removed from her left hand. Nanachi agrees. Rico, Reg, and Nanachi stock up on supplies and head down into the abyss. Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed, please like, share, and subscribe.